What the fuck? This man's ambition isn't to become a superhero, but to lead a leisurely farm life. However, God doesn't handle farming, so God calls his brother, and after obtaining permission, God gifts Jack a magical agricultural tool. Then God begins the ritual of reincarnation. When Jack awakens again, he finds himself lying in a deserted forest. Jack tries to move his body, then takes out the divine farming tool, and starts plowing for the first time. Because the tool possesses divine power, using it doesn't exhaust him. Even the hardest soil is easily tilled. The cultivated earth becomes noticeably soft. But to start farming, water is essential. Jack begins searching the forest for water sources. After extensive exploration, he realizes the forest consists solely of trees, no rivers. However, a colossal tree captures his attention. This giant makes a perfect landmark. Jack decides to establish his base here. To solve the water issue, he chooses to dig a well, transforming the tool into a shovel. He starts digging immediately. With effortless strength, Jack excavates like a mechanical digger, quickly creating a deep pit. To his surprise, water actually emerges. With water resolved, the next challenge is food. Jack searches extensively but finds nothing edible. At this moment, a tree near his camp irritates him. He instantly transforms the tool into an axe. In his experience, tree felling requires cutting one side first, then the other to control the fall direction. Yet with a single light chop, the tree crashes down. Next, he changes the tool into a woodcutter's blade, wanting to process the trunk. Under the tool's divine power, cutting wood becomes as easy as chopping vegetables. Transporting logs also requires zero effort. Before long, Jack accumulates a pile of lumber. He plans to build a cabin, but notices the shifting shadows of the trees. It's nearly nightfall. Panic-stricken, he tries summoning various living tools, but the magical tool fails to cooperate. Though Jack finally improvises by creating a magnifying glass, the sun has already set. Forced to adapt, he carves a den into a tree, using it as shelter for the night. Fortunately, this world has 2 moons, providing excellent visibility even at night. Under moonlight, Jack begins crafting utensils. What the fuck? This man kindles a fire using only a magnifying glass. To prepare for farming, Jack clears the trees surrounding his camp. With the work done, his stomach rumbles. Suddenly, a rabbit charges toward him. Jack swings his hoe, instantly killing the creature. The rabbit's head, crushed by the divine tool, crumbles into dirt. Fortunately, the body remains untouched by the tool, and Jack quickly consumes it. But eating necessitates excretion. Jack constructs a toilet first. Not merely a seat, but a full system: septic tank, ventilation shaft, and clean pipes. While using it, he feels exposed, so he builds walls around the toilet. The Japanese attention to sanitation shows in his priorities: a luxurious toilet before proper housing. After relieving himself, Jack resumes plowing. A day's labor finally breaks the soil. The tool reveals another miracle. By visualizing crops during tilling, plants sprout without seeds. Growth accelerates. Within a night, seedlings emerge. To protect his field from wildlife, Jack erects a fence and digs a moat outside it. Days later, his farm takes shape. He survives on wild rabbits venturing into fields. Under his care, crops thrive. Finally, he finishes a small cabin, though low due to limited strength, expanded downward for space. Sparse yet better than tree dens. Just as farm life stabilizes, Jack spots 2 wolves outside the fence, battle-scarred and weary. He lowers a plank to invite them in, feeding leftover wild boar meat. Dreaming of dogs since childhood, he hopes they'll stay. The pregnant she-wolf gives birth imminently. Jack vacates his house for them, even starting a fire outdoors to compensate for the chimneyless structure. He retreats to the tree hole. Next morning, pups arrive. To nourish the mother, he brings pork. His kindness earns the wolves' loyalty. The cabin becomes a kennel. Building nearby again, Jack applies his lessons. Larger structure with chimney. His tomato plants ripen. After tasting one, he offers some to the black pups. They unexpectedly eat vegetables. Determined, Jack vows to cultivate more crops, to share abundance with his new companions. The divine being intended to bestow trials upon the guilty, but accidentally inflicted suffering upon the innocent Jack. To compensate for this mistake, the divine power reincarnated him into a parallel world. Unbeknownst to being duped, Jack gratefully thanked his benefactor for the miraculous agricultural tool he received. A versatile implement that could transform shapes at will, capable of cultivating crops without seeds, simply by visualizing the desired harvest. These magical crops matured within 2 weeks. From germination to full growth, content with his newfound agrarian lifestyle, Jack carved a statue in gratitude, yearning only for a pinch of salt to season his bounty. To enhance his culinary experience, he planted fruit-bearing trees around his fields. In leisure moments, Jack found solace in the company of his loyal companions, whose presence alleviated his loneliness and guided him through the forest paths. Under their assistance, Jack expanded his exploration radius, discovering a freshwater river, an opportunity to construct irrigation canals. Despite the arduous labor, he strategically built a privy near the water source, a testament to Japanese cultural practices. As autumn chill approached, Jack's meager attire proved inadequate. His arachnid ally, summoned by the animal companions, offered more than sentinel duty, weaving thermal garments, crafting quilted bedding, and fashioning windbreak curtains. After God brought Jack to this strange world, Jack had already forgotten when was the last time he spoke to someone. If this continued, he might even forget how to speak. Just as Jack was thinking about this, time slipped away quickly. By the time the snow melted, spring had arrived. It was also the season for animals to mate. That day, Little Black's children had grown up, and they all went into the forest to find their own mates. Just when Jack was lost in thought, they returned in just a few days with their respective partners. Jack couldn't help but feel speechless. Dogs had found their partners, but he hadn't even experienced love. His sexual experience wasn't even as rich as that of the dogs. But then, suddenly, the spider sounded the alarm. Little Black rushed over to warn Jack. It seemed a dangerous creature was approaching. Guided by Little Black, Jack found an injured little girl. Seeing Little Black and the others' hostility, the girl immediately begged Jack for help. Since she was human, Jack walked towards her without caution. Who would have thought she was a vampire? After drinking Jack's blood, the little girl transformed into a mature woman. Seeing his master hurt, Little Black charged at the vampire, knocking her away. Surrounded by them, the vampire was forced back into her childlike form. The vampire quickly explained she meant no harm. It turned out she reverted to her younger form when wounded. She had bitten Jack out of necessity after sustaining heavy injuries. Jack chose to believe her, and let her drink his blood once more. Though she fed several times, Jack lost considerable blood. However, thanks to the body God granted him, he remained unfazed. This was the first time the vampire tasted such vibrant blood, yet Jack found it odd. He brought the vampire, whom he named Annie, back to the farm. Annie had never seen such peculiar plants. Hearing Jack grew these himself, she couldn't help but admire him. Next, Jack conjured scissors to pick a tomato for Annie. After tasting it, she was astonished. In her centuries of life, she'd never had such juicy vegetables. Jack then toured her through the fields, even demonstrating his carrot-pulling skills, which brought them closer. He learned her name was Annie, a skilled herbalist. She had fled the forest to escape nobles who coveted her research, only to encounter Jack and discover unknown flora here. Seeing Jack's ignorance of the forest, Annie explained its dangers. Known as the Death Forest for its fearsome beasts, even Jack's dogs were considered highly dangerous among them. Listening to Annie's tirade, Jack, starved for human interaction, struggled to respond, but he knew such a chance wouldn't come again. So Jack directly proposed to Annie, asking her to live with him. Annie blushed but accepted his proposal.